Hey everybody, this is Skater0. Today I'm going to be covering the brewing indicators that I sort of showed in the original video, which is just sort of demonstrating all the different things you can find or use the newest Redstone update blocks in. So the basic brewing indicator, if you haven't seen that video, you should go check out. I'm going to sort of show how it works again. I'm going to take down this wall so you can kind of see what's going on. But the way it works is it uses the fullness detection capabilities of the new comparator block. So when you have say a chest, or in this case the brewing stand with some number of slots in it full, that value as an analog value, sort of as a percentage full, is sent through to this comparator. So this comparator's input is some number based on how many of these are full. So actually, if we go over here, we can see that when it's 3 full, or when I have 3 things in it, the value is 11. So that's the 10 sign, so it's 11. When I fill it completely, it goes up to 15. So when I've got all 4 slots filled, the bar is completely full, the value right out of the comparator is 15. So I'm using that to my advantage. I know that when this is not completely full, that this comparator is not getting 15. So what I do is I have a torch which feeds a value of 15 to the this is just a plain repeater. Feeds a value of 15 into that, which feeds into the side of this comparator. So this comparator is saying what value I'm getting from the brewing stand. Is it greater than or equal to 15? And the only way it can be greater than or equal to 15 is to be 15. So the only way that this output is actually going to turn on or not be anything other than off is this brewing stand has to have a value of 15, meaning it has to be full. So once that is full, this turns on. So I'm going to fill it up so we can show that, and hopefully it won't go too fast. So now that is on, and that's going to stay on as long as the brewing stand is full. So this value is going to stay 15 because it says now that the brewing stand's full, 15 is greater than or equal to 15, which is what it's getting here. So the output value is 15. And now what happens is this feeds through another comparator. Oop, and there it goes. So that just finished. I'll try to explain it. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to put a torch, I'm going to put a torch right here. So now I'm mimicking the brewing stand being full. So pretending the brewing stand is still full, this value is on, and it goes in 2 directions. One direction is this way, and the other direction is straight. So this direction is just a delay loop. So this value is 15. This comparator has no inputs on the side because this one's pointing this way. So this comparator is just saying, is 15 greater than or equal to 0? It is. So push 15 forward. This one gets 15. It says, is it greater than or equal to 15? Which I don't think that's actually even feeding in through the side. I think you need to actually have a repeater or a redstone dust block to actually feed it. So anyway, this one's putting on 15 and 15 and 15 and 15, and each of these has a small delay. So whatever value this block has is going to take a while to get to this block. So this is just repeating forward, so it's the same as these. It's taking 15 in, it's comparing to 0. It says it's greater than or equal to 0, so send 15 into the side of this comparator. So now this comparator is in subtraction mode because of this little, the torch is up, so it's in subtraction mode. So it's still doing the same comparison. It says, is 15, or is the maximum value greater than or equal to 15? And if it is, subtract 15 from 15 and you get 0. And the way that this works is when this brewing stand finishes, so when whatever you put in here disappears and this becomes an actual potion, this is going to turn off, or it's going to become 11, but this comparator is comparing 11 to 15, so the output is again 0. And when this changes from 15 to 0, this pretty much immediately feeds into here as 0. Whereas this, because of the delay, still is going to be on, and it's kind of hard to show, but let me see if I can show it. If I am standing here, if I can get that, yep. So watch very carefully here, this is going to turn off, but all of these are going to stay on for a little bit longer, so this is going to still be powered even after I destroy the torch. So it's pretty fast because the delay here is not very big and you can't adjust it, as of yet at least. So when this drops to a 0, this is still on, so this is still 15, and this comparator is saying, is 15 greater than or equal to 0? Yes, it is. The output should be the subtraction of 15 and 0, which is 15, so that is a full, 15 is on, which powers that note block, and then a little bit of a delay to power that one, just to give you 2 notes separately. And this could power, things other than note blocks. It doesn't have to be note blocks, but note blocks is more interesting. So what I'm going to do is, actually I got to leave that in. I'm going to throw in a gas tier. You'll notice that the lights all turned on, so the comparator here is now outputting a value which delayed itself all the way through and is continuing on through here. When the brewing stand is all done and that gas tier is basically disappears, this ore here is going to drop, and then it delays through. You get a quick pulse, and those things make their noise and alert you that your potions are done, so you can come back and take them out. So that's how that works. The advanced one is sort of the same principle, but you have to add a little bit more logic into it. So it works in a similar way, where when you fill this up, the value that this comparator is getting is 11. So it's just comparing it to 0. Again, it's just sort of pushing that 11 value through. So 11 is coming from the brewing stand into here. That's 11. So 11 in digital world is on, so this pushes a value of 15 through, which turns off that torch. So that torch is now off, and the that torch has always been off, but you'll see how that works in a second. So now it feeds through another comparator where 11 is the value, and it's saying, well, is 11 greater than or equal to what I'm getting on the side here, which is 15, because the torch is feeding a repeater which is feeding the side, so that's 15. 11 is not greater than or equal to 15, so the output is 0. So this output, nothing happens, and this output, nothing happens until we fill this with some nether wart, or whatever we fill it with. So now we fill it, and you'll see that this comparator is feeding a full value of 15. That full value of 15 compared to this is greater than or equal to 15, so that is output to here. So now what that does is feeds into this circuit, which is a rising edge detector, which basically works by, that when this redstone dust goes from a low value or is off to on, what happens is this redstone dust will have pretty much the same value. Since this is very little delay, let's just say it's no delay, will have the same value. So when it goes from a 0 to a 1, this will have a 1 immediately, but that 0 value will still be over here, which leaves that on. And then actually I can probably show with a lever a little bit more easily here. So let me grab a lever, and if I plop that here, that should power this. So when this goes on, if you watch the 2 different branches, they're a little bit offset. So what happens is, for a brief moment in time, when I flip this from a low state to a high state, you get this turning off, or this turning on, and this taking a little bit longer to turn on, and then the 2 together will trigger this redstone torch. So flip that back off, and the redstone torch, if you could see it, would flash. And that redstone torch then feeds into what people call, I think, an RS NOR latch, which is a memory sort of device. It just remembers values. So if you flip that switch, that's what I call set, which is where the RS comes from. It's reset set. So this side is the set, which means brewing is done. And the oh, sorry, I think I actually misspoke here. This device here is a falling edge detector, because what you want to have is when the item is consumed here, meaning that the brewing is finished, this should turn off, go from a high state to a low state. So let me try to demonstrate that. So if you look at this torch over here while I'm flipping the switch, when it falls, the torch should flash, and it does. So when this goes from a high state to a low state, the signal here pretty much immediately goes low, and this signal is still high because it's taking some time to get through, and since it's inverted, the high signal here converts to a low signal here, which means that this is low, so this is also low, and the delayed version is still low, so this becomes a off block, which allows that to turn on just for a brief second, and then once it updates, that this side now becomes the same as this side. So if this is low, this takes a little bit longer. Once it's low though, this becomes high, turns that block on, which turns that off. So let me try to demonstrate that again, if I can get that. There we go. So it does nothing on the falling edge, because on the rising edge, which was that going from a 0 to a 1. This is it going the opposite way. I'm going to see if I can get it. And that flips that just for a brief second, depending on how long you have a delay there. And that's just long enough to do the same thing as what this switch is doing, is the set. And no matter how many times you click the set button, it's still set. This memory is set. This is going to be high when it's in the set state. This is going to be low in the set state until somebody comes along with some sort of redstone signal, which is this redstone signal, but also this one, and that reset it. So no matter how many times you click the reset, the memory is reset. This is low in the reset state, and this is high in the reset state. And this redstone torch is what is responsible for resetting the memory, which I'll explain now. So the way the memory is reset is you either click that button, which is the manual reset, which makes sense, it's manual, you have to click the button. The button powers this side, which is what resets the memory. The other way to do it is, let's say you're brewing, you're all done with your potions, so you take them out. What happens is this signal then goes low, which allows, because the brewing stand is empty, this signal is going to be a 0, which feeds into here, which allows that torch to be on, which resets the memory. So the memory is reset when you empty the brewing stand. So I'm going to fill it back up, throw a gas tier in. That becomes high because it's now full. That's now high because it's full. And then once it is all done, this is going to become low because it's now not completely full. This is going to detect that it went low. That's going to flash on, setting the memory. And once the memory is set, you'll see that the lamp turns on. So that torch flicked this. This is now set. The reset is this is the reset side is off, and I've inverted it so that you get the proper, you want the lamp on when this is all done. So you can see, you come back, the lamp's on, you know that your brewing's done. You empty out your thing, it resets automatically, or you can hit the button if you don't want to take everything out and have to put it back in. You can just hit the button to turn that lamp back off. So that's how that works. It's a little more complicated than the basic one, which is why I called it the advanced one, because it requires a little bit more circuitry, but the main parts are the RS NOR latch, just a method of getting these signals to that latch. This little circuit here is the falling edge detector, and then this circuit here is just the checking of what value the brewing stand has, this being the value of the brewing stand. So if you liked the video, please like it. I'd like people to see how these things work and sort of get used to them. I'd like to see some interesting contraptions with the new blocks. And if you haven't checked out the video sort of demonstrating all these other little gadgets, I just show what they do. I don't go over how they do them, but if you haven't checked that out, please check it out, and I'll see you later.